Good morning, everyone. Welcome. Thank you for coming. My name is Anna Carugati. I'm the Group Editorial Director of WorldScreen. I'm delighted to be here this morning to talk to buyers and learn what's on their mind and what their needs are. And at the end of this session, we are going to also be presenting some awards, and we'll get to that in a little bit. But we live in an ever-changing, complex, sometimes dangerous world, unfortunately. But television, with its inimitable capacity of joining images and sounds and special effects, is uniquely positioned to explain complex issues. And complex issues are often the topics of the programming that you look into, right? Factual programming of all genres embodies the best of what television can offer us, whether it's inside of the atom, at the bottom of the ocean, at the far ends of the universe, the marvels of technology. Factual programming can really bring to light. It can illuminate, it can educate, and hopefully it's a little awe-inspiring too. So that's what we're going to talk about this morning. What kind of programming do these channels that specialize in factual programming, what are they looking for? And I'm going to allow our very distinguished panel to present themselves. Okay, Kristina, let's start with you. You are with ZDF Enterprises, but you also work very closely with ZDF, correct?
Right. Okay, it's on. I'm responsible for the acquisition and co-production for the ZDF channels. So my department is doing the business negotiation, and we are also sort of an interface to the international market. We are not taking the editorial decisions. The decisions are being taken by about 15 departments buying, producing, and co-producing documentaries within the ZDF group. For those of you who may not know the ZDF group, we have the ZDF main channel. We have ZDF digital channels, especially ZDF Info is of interest to you because ZDF Info buys around, for ZDF Info, we buy around 450 hours of programming every year. ZDF Neo, we also buy partly for Phoenix, for ZDF Arte, and for 3Sat. So it's a whole group of channels and a big need of documentaries.
And David? Hello? Yeah, David, Smithsonian Network certainly calls to mind the Smithsonian Institution, which is the world's largest museum and research complex.
Correct.
But
yes.
These channels are much more than that, right?
Yeah. The Smithsonian is a collection of museums, 19 different museums, and it covers a huge range of subjects from history to music to natural history, science, aviation. And so it allows us as a channel to explore all the different areas of non-fiction. So we're probably a little bit broader than most non-fiction channels in our interests. And we also are very involved in the co-production market. So having international co-production partners is really at the heart of our DNA. We acquire programming, we produce original programming, and we look for programming that is not just informative, which is, of course, important to the Smithsonian, but is also entertaining because we are in the television business. And if people don't come and watch, then we're not doing our job correctly. So we want programming that's both entertaining and informative.
And Corentin, my French is rusty and I'm jet-lagged, but it's RMC Découverte. All right, it's uniquely positioned in the French market, isn't it, as a channel?
Yes, it is. We are a very young channel, actually, so that's why I'm very honored to be in this panel, because there's massive channels here, and we are only 3 years old. And we are the only free TV channel where we specialize in factual entertainment, actually, in France. So we are buying around 1,500 hours a year, which is a lot. And we are also looking for entertainment in factual.
And Nesta, you buy for a broad portfolio of channels, right?
1,500, that's ridiculously, that's tiny.
Oh, and Nesta's with Discovery.
I'm Nesta, I'm Discovery. I actually look after CEMEA, which is Central Eastern Europe, Middle East, Africa, and Turkey. I look after at least 15 channel brands, probably more than that. Actually, we were trying to count yesterday. We couldn't actually arrive at a figure that we were all completely happy with. I cover everything. We are buying children's programs at the moment. We're launching Discovery Kids in the Middle East later this summer, all the way up to, we have TLC, we have ID, we have obviously the main Discovery channel, we have Animal Planet, we have Science. So my territory is everywhere kind of east of Germany, including Germany, as far east as, I think, Vladivostok, as far south as South Africa. And we buy an awful lot of content.
Okay. Because you all buy so much, just briefly, what have been some of your most successful recent acquisitions? Whoever wants to go first.
We just talked about one co-production that we did together with Artemis International in Australia and Screen Australia. First Flight is it called. It's also here in the MIPDoc library. It's a film about the idea that it was not the brothers Wright, but Gustav Weiskopf, a German who was the first one to fly a motor plane. Of course, that was a very successful co-production for us. Apart from that, we bought a couple of films about the British royal family that does very well on our contemporary history slot and also for the digital channel. We bought a program, a fairly old program about the bombing of Auschwitz, and because there was the commemoration, that one did also very well.
I'm always amazed at the programs that perform wonderfully well that you don't expect.
Right.
The little surprises that you find. And one of the things I love about MIPDoc is searching through all the tapes here and coming up with something unusual. And I remember coming across a beautiful film about a goshawk that came out of Korea. And that was one of my great surprises here. But the programs that really have performed beautifully well for us, Cineflix, for instance, a Canadian-based company, does a series called Mayday on the international market. We call it Air Disasters. And wherever it goes out, I think in every single market, it does wonderfully well. And that, of course, is a great show for all of us.
Yeah, we have this one too. Mayday is doing well also on the channel. It's always, I think it's worldwide, this kind of stuff. For us, the best results we have was, of course, for the French version of Top Gear we made. And beside that, there's all kind of stuff working for us is the constructors. So we bought Building Wild from Fox. We bought also the Prospector for Passion Distribution, Treasure Hunters, all that kind of long-running series are doing well. And also the one-offs in history. So World War II is doing always good for us.
I picked up a great show from Earth Touch called Diamond River Hunters. And it was a really great show for us because it was set in Mozambique in South Africa, in South Africa. And it's a kind of a dirty job, people finding diamonds and then selling the diamonds on. And the great talent, so we were able to use the talent came to our upfront in South Africa. And then the show transmitted, it all went really fantastically well. Local people doing kind of local stuff, so it wasn't kind of exploitative. There wasn't kind of Americans coming in and taking their diamonds. We haven't always managed to get the kind of tone of those sort of shows quite right, but this one worked really, really fantastically well. And we were really surprised that the show did really, really well in Poland, in Germany, in Russia. So it was a show that we bought specifically with Africa in mind, but then it travelled fantastically well. And we were really surprised that the sort of dirty jobs, the hard work, sort of as a genre is showing real signs of resurgence for us. On the co-pro front, we worked with Edwina Thring, who's in the audience over there, and picked up a great show called Snake Sheila, which we partnered up with and gave feedback on all the cuts and really helped develop the show. And it was a huge, huge breakout hit for us across EMEA and also in Australia, where Snake Sheila is obviously, given the title, based.
Right. Now, co-production is a word that is used often, and I've learned has many different meanings and iterations. What type of projects would entice you into entering a co-production, and how, can you give some examples of how those co-productions, co-financing, whatever, how they work?
I honestly don't think there's any difference between the projects that we acquire or the projects that we co-produce or the projects as originals, because from the audience's point of view, they're all the same and they don't care the business of putting them together. One of the great things, of course, about co-productions is you're sharing the risk with an international partner. I think the other thing that can also be, and people sometimes miss this, incredibly valuable, is that you have more people bringing a perspective to a program. So when that collaborative process works well, you've got more input, more insights, and it just makes the whole project richer. And that's a successful co-production.
We worked alongside Smithsonian on another project called Africa's Trees of Life, and we gave feedback on all the cuts, and it was really important for us to get the pre-title credits really, really spot on, so we were getting people into the show really quickly and explaining what the setup was, and our partnership with Smithsonian worked really, really well on that basis, just getting what we wanted and hopefully providing what Smithsonian wanted as well.
I think it's a bit different for us because for you, the audience don't see the difference between your acquisition and your co-production. For us, as a French TV channel, it's really different because the audience is used to see always American, formats, American shows, and when the only difference when people speak in French in the show, it's totally different for the audience. So that's the biggest deal for us to have a French TV channel specialized in factual because it's not that easy to have a huge amount of hours of content in French. So that's why it's the difference between the UK Top Gear, the Top Gear UK, which did very well at the beginning, but the French version of Top Gear doubled the ratings of the UK version. So that's a part of the huge thing we have to do in the second step of the channel.
I think David is right. The audience shouldn't see whether you bought a program in a library or whether it's an acquisition, a pre-sale, or a co-production. But from our side, I have to say that we have to find programs that feel like ZDF programs. So it's not just you shouldn't know where you get the rights from or how you get the rights, but it's important that it feels like not like a German program, but that it feels that it corresponds to the needs of our brand. So if we have a Terra X co-production, it has to look like a Terra X. That means you may need a German perspective. For us, it's extremely important to have a broad re-editing right for our version, because otherwise it's not possible to air it on the slots where the audience has certain expectations. And to be honest, whenever it's possible, I would try to avoid a co-production, because a co-production is extremely complicated. It's a long and unforeseeable process. So when a producer comes, because we can only come in an international co-production if we know that the financing is completed. That means sometimes we have to wait a very long time. We say this is a topic that is of interest to us, but then the producer needs a long time to complete the financing because our part can't cover everything. And that is a long process. Then also contract-wise, co-productions, if we invest in a co-productions, we need completion bonds, we need guarantees in case we pay at an earlier stage. All this makes life for producers extremely difficult. So I would rather recommend a producer, if it's possible, to come to us as a pre-sale partner, because it's easier and you can keep your energy for what is really important, the production itself.
As you say, people don't distinguish. They're not going to be forgiving. Oh, that's a co-pro, we'll let them get away with something that's slightly less quality. The stuff, all the content we have from the US is absolutely A1, fantastically produced, great storytelling. So anything that I buy or anything that I co-produce or pre-buy has to be comparable, because our audience is utterly unforgiving. There's a lot of choice out there. They'll be off.
That leads right into my next question. The audience is increasingly sophisticated, whether it's from the feature films they watch, the level of drama these days, which is so. So how does that impact your programming? How much do they, our special effects, obviously it depends on the topic, but our special effects is 4K, reenactments, are these all things that are very important for your programs?
For us, the whole binge viewing things. You just mentioned scripted there, and I just really hope that all the binge viewing that's going on with some non-linear platforms, that means that people are actually able to watch more of our content. It might make our content a bit more sophisticated. I was just thinking that a lot of the shows that we get from the States, there's a recap every 5 minutes, and hopefully, if people are able to watch a whole 10 hours of making a murder or whatever, some of our shows might become a little more sophisticated. We'll have slightly fewer recaps, because for my viewers, that's one of the things they complain about the most. That it's slightly childish and unsophisticated.
In terms of the technology, we're a huge believer in 4K. And when we launched as a channel, we launched as an HD channel at a time when there were very few HD channels out there. So yes, we're pushing it because we think with people having larger and larger television screens, they expect higher and higher quality. I think there's been a democratization that's taken place in terms of media, and the average person's expectations has grown enormously. But at the end of the day, it's not just about the technology. The fundamentals remain absolutely key, and that's just great storytelling and the ability to capture great moments on film.
I totally agree. For us, the 4K is absolutely not a question. I'm sorry about that, because I think, the HD is not even on all channels in France. So first we're going to get the HD, and then in 10 years we're going to get the 4K, I guess. But the most important thing is the story, we say, I guess. Because, for example, the history slot for us is a huge slot on Friday evening, and it does the best ratings of the channel, and it's obviously not HD, because there's a lot of archives, there's a lot of 4:3 and everything. So the story is more important. Of course, if there's CGI and everything, that's better for the audience because they're used to that. But that's not the major point, I guess.
Right. How do you balance specials or event programming against long-running series? Because they're both important to the health of a channel, correct?
I would like to say something about the
yes.
special effects. Because I think, of course, sometimes a simple film can attract a great audience. But I think depending on the slots, our audience is spoiled and they expect reenactments and they expect special effects. And I think, this has been something that was true for the last 10 years. So we have been talking about reenactment. In fact, the first Discovery co-productions we did 15 years ago, there we were at the beginnings of reenactment. But, today this is what the audience expects, always depending, of course, on the digital channels. That's a different story because there you need much more volume. But I think this is something where we already have a very high standard in the industry, and where we also expect good-looking CGI, and that's something that has to be in a co-production project. In terms of 4K, my feeling is that a lot of the big projects are already being produced in 4K or suggested in 4K. So for me, that's not such a big question. The question is whether the post-production takes place in 4K. And, ZDF switched to HD a couple of years ago. So what we do, we reserve the right to have access to the 4K version in case we need it in a couple of years' time. But at the moment, it's not necessary for us yet.
I was going to say, I think the other thing that certainly we've seen in the States is that people's tolerance of black and white has gone down. And colorization has become much more important. And really, the pioneers of that are in France. And Apocalypse, which was a real phenomena. And talk about, if I actually go back to your original question about acquisitions, Apocalypse, which has been a worldwide success, was a fantastically good acquisition for us. But that has really spoiled audiences because there you found colorization of black and white footage done with enormous care and accuracy. And younger audiences today, certainly in the United States, more and more, find black and white distancing, and they want the color put back in their images.
Okay, actually I want to get to all of that, but let me go back to my first question. Events and series, how do you balance them in your schedules? They each play an important role?
We're just getting back into the whole specials thing now. I think Rich Ross, who runs Discovery in the US, announced a new strand called Discovery Impact only this week there at France. And I'm personally delighted that we are getting back into the specials. I think they're just a sprinkling of magic and just makes viewers feel loved. It breaks up the schedule a little bit. It gives, we can eventize things. We can make the channel feel special. And it's great. We've got the luxury at the moment. The channel's working so well. We've got so many kind of breakout hits. We've got Gold Rush. We've got Fast and Loud. So we've got the bankers and the bankers in the schedule. So it's great to have some specials to keep it lively, keep it entertaining, keep it fresh, and give people a special reason to tune in.
Right.
For MC Découverte, the balance between one-offs and long-running series is very easy, because the channel is really readable, very easy also, because we have every evening a different slot. So the building slot, for example, or the Top Gear slot is easy. It's long-running series because the Top Gear is Top Gear every Wednesday evening, so that's not even a question. The building slot also, there's very long-running series about constructors, the pool masters, building wild, etc. And we have a special slot on Tuesday, which is the event slot. So that's definitely specialized in one-offs, and also in megastructure and history. There's not enough long-running series because it's very difficult to make 20 hours about one event in World War II, I guess. So that's maximum 6 hours. So the history slot also is specialized in one-offs, and the megastructures also, because you don't do 20 hours again about the Paris subway. You do 2 hours or 3 hours maximum. So that depends on the slot, definitely.
For us, having a number of special programs every year that break through the media clutter is absolutely critical. Sometimes they're just big, bold programs about discoveries, like the discovery of the world's fossilized remains of the world's largest snake. On other occasions, they tie in with events. So Tom Jennings' program, MLK, The Assassination Tapes, where he found an extraordinary collection of footage that had taken place at the time of the workers' sanitation strike in Memphis, Tennessee, and put together a program just using archival footage that had never been seen before of Martin Luther King's assassination. That becomes a special event for us. But series are key to, I think, any programmer's schedule. Series are probably the most important thing that we do.
Yeah, especially in daytime. Series is easier. For prime times, you can do one-offs, you can do special events, it's easy. But in daytime, you have to have your rendezvous every time at 5. You want to see your series, you want to see the kind of show, if not the same characters, but the kind of show you like. So it's very important to have series in daytime, I guess.
I think for thematic channels, that's true. You need this balance. For a generalistic channel, for us it's more difficult to have a series. Every documentary that we air on the ZDF main channel has to be a standalone documentary. Sometimes there are 2-parters, 3-parters. The longest series that we would have would be a 6-hour series. One that was very successful was the history of the Germans, of course. But we try not to have series on the main channel. But what is interesting for producers is that the digital channels, of course, they have a big need of good programming. So we often combine the acquisition of a series for the digital channel with the right to do a special for the main channel. And that's a very good combination, because what do you need in the main channel? You have a good topic. We just had the history, Australia, the history of us, or Mummies Alive, or 1491. Those are 6-part series. And there we go and take part of the material out of it and edit it to a version that works for the main channel. Of course, in cooperation with the producers and the authors, but that's the only way to bring those programs to our main channel.
Because viewers have so many different ways or they want to have so many different ways of watching programming, in how many different ways do your channels offer? There's the linear, and then how else can they? Do you have streaming services? How else do you offer your programming?
We certainly offer it in as many ways as we can. So we do stream programs on our website, on the internet, and we have mobile apps. I'm not sure if you can download them here in France, but if you visit the States, you should download them and then bring them back. But certainly, you can get us on phones, on iPads, on Kindles, Amazon Fire, Apple TV. We're all over the place.
Yeah, okay, so you're in 4K, you have apps and everything, yeah. I'm just in HD, and that's already a lot. Though we only have catch-up, of course, catch-up TV, and then the online channel is on the internet, but that's all. We just bought SVOD service 1 year ago, and we're starting to get special, programming in it, but that's just the beginning. We are a very young channel yet.
You know, it's such a relief to me to be with someone who's from a younger channel than we are. For years, I would always start by this line. Yes.
We work really closely with all our affiliates in different countries. We're in so many different countries. A lot of our markets are still emerging. They're quite new countries, some of them. So we work with our affiliate partners, and it depends on the nature of our kind of contracts and deals with what is available per market. There's no kind of one-size-fits-all at the moment.
Right.
For us, our catch-up service is, of course, very important, and that's the only way we offer programming in a different medium. And this catch-up service will be relaunched in the second half of this year. At the moment, we have especially for documentary program, you have the right to keep the programs for a longer period of time in the catch-up service. So it's not 7-day catch-up. It's we can leave the programs up to 1 year in this service, and this is something where we see that if the audience has seen, for example, a film on the terror attacks, unfortunately, last week in Brussels, they want to get more background information, so they go to this service. And so for this reason, it's extremely important for us when we buy programming or when we co-produce programming, that we have the same range of rights and the same possibilities of presenting it in the service as we have it for our commissioned productions and our in-house productions, because again, what we had in the very beginning, the audience doesn't care where we get it from, if it's a co-production, an acquisition or whatever. They see an interesting program, they have a need for additional information, and that's what we have to deliver.
I think this raises a really important issue for the producers in this room, and that is that increasingly, certainly in the American market, but I think in many other markets, we don't look at programs as delivering to audiences simply through television.
Right.
We have to be able to deliver them through multiple platforms, and that means when you get to rights clearances, you need to clear for all sorts of uses.
Actually, I was going to ask a question later on, but since you're speaking to the producers, all of you, do you have particular messages for any producers who would want to work with your channel? Is there something they should know, or more than one thing that they should know?
I think first of all, it's very important that you inform yourself as good as you can. For 10 years now, we have been publishing a brochure that's called Factual Programming on ZDF. It's 50 pages long. That shows that we have a lot of different departments. We renew it every year, and every year we ask the departments to put in the programs that they are especially proud of. So you get an idea what they want. We give you information about how much acquisition, co-production, or in-house production we have on those different slots. So that's extremely helpful. And because often, you know, if a production company approaches a department with the wrong proposals a couple of times, even if the 5th time it's a good proposal, you may run the danger that they wouldn't have a look at it anymore because they say, oh no, that's not for us. So I think preparation and information is key.
Yeah. The first thing, the first thing to do if you are a producer, I think it's the same way of what you're doing, it's to watch the channel. It's the #1 rule. If you're in France now and you're a producer, please just watch the channel so you can propose us something relevant for us. Because it's easy when you know exactly what's on the channel, you know what you can propose. Because it's the same thing. Once you propose 5 times something totally not for us, we don't even gonna look to the 6th one. That's really important.
Well, we don't have 50 pages for you to read. I feel a little inadequate. But I absolutely agree, watch a channel. Now, if you're not in the country where the channel is, try and see if you can get to their website. It's really, really important. The number of times that people pitch you programs that are not relevant to what you're trying to do is numerous. And as Kristina says, if that happens, after the 3rd pitch, you start to turn off. So really focus on what a particular channel is looking for.
I mean, the message from Discovery is that we're very much open for business. Please bring us your best ideas. I think Marjorie Kaplan, who's now running DNI in terms of commissioning, she released a press release yesterday saying pretty much, bring us your ideas. We're excited to work with everybody. We're looking for the next big hit. Isn't everybody? But we really, really are. So if you have any new and amazing ideas, please do come knocking on our door.
You know, if you have amazing ideas, come to see us
No.
first.
And then
we'll
only
talk
one
to you.
country. I'm
Yeah, we can work
109.
together, by the way. Come see all of us.
What do you have on your wish list as we start MIPDoc? Is there anything that you're looking for in particular? You said, of course, the next great thing, but is there anything
We're all
that
looking for the next great thing.
Yeah, I'm looking for a series called Nazi, Megastructure, Car, Gold, Alien Shark. Like 40 hours. If someone has it, I'm going to take it. And we'll share with you if you want.
I think what I would like to say is as you use the word relevancy, something that always punches through for us is when a producer comes to us with an idea that's going to key in with something that they perceive is going to happen in the future, or something that's going to capture the public imagination. So for instance, Downton Abbey, massive popular entertainment worldwide success, when Fine Stripe Productions out of Scotland came to us and said, you know, we'll do the real story for you. $1 Million American Princesses, the story of the rich, filthy rich American women that came to Britain and to Europe and married into royalty, and how their lives were transformed and how they transformed the people they married. That had a great peg because it was tying in with a popular cultural phenomena. That sort of looking forward into the zeitgeist makes a huge difference for us.
Now we are looking for historical series. We are looking for space. Space does very well. We had the Morgan Freeman series from Discovery that was a good success for the digital channels. And of course, you know, one has the impression that everything has been done in a way, and the technologies, we know them. Of course, there is 4K now, but you know, all the rest, there's not so much new. So in fact, what I'm personally looking for is something that surprises me. And I saw that in the MIPDoc catalog, there is a new category in early stages. And I think this is very, very useful, because sometimes you don't come to the point where you can go into production or where you have the co-production partners, but there may be really interesting ideas around. And so I think to have this category to say, hey, I have an idea, but up to the moment there is nobody who gives me money for it, I think it's a very good tool, and I'm curious to see whether it will be successful.
So apart from the next big thing that you're all just writing up the proposal for now, we've got some sort of general things. We're commissioning about 250 hours a year in Poland. We're kind of done for this year, but we're already looking at 2017. And we announced a load of shows as our upfront in the States earlier this week. So I'm looking at companion pieces to run alongside some of those shows. So we announced a new drama called Manifesto, which is about the Unabomber. I know that my audiences aren't going to know who the Unabomber is, so I'm looking for somebody to make me a show that describes exactly what all that was about. Similarly, there's another drama that we announced some time ago called Harley and Davidson, about how they made bikes and all that kind of stuff. It's actually filming at the moment in Romania, so we're wondering whether we haven't had a hit about motorbikes since American Chopper. Is this the time? Is this the time for us to have another motorbike build show? So companion pieces that kind of either explain what's going on in some of our big kind of blue chip productions, or companion pieces that we can run to make to sort of amplify some of the shows we get from the States.
Right. Are you seeing any trends emerging as you look for the next big thing? I mean, I live in the States, I can speak for the US. True crime seems to be having a resurgence. I mean, it's always been popular, but now, and certainly Netflix has created a lot of noise with Making of a Murderer. It caused thousands of viewers to petition the release of, I don't know if you know the story, but it's somebody who was indicted for and is in prison for a crime, and the 10-part series raises doubts as to whether he was justly convicted or not. so many people petitioned his release, and a bunch of other people have said that the series is factually inaccurate. But so first of all, I guess 2 parts. Are you seeing new trends? And secondly, as Netflix has been a huge disruptor in many other genres and territories, do you see it as a disruptor in factual as well, or is it just another player?
I think, of course, everybody talks about Netflix, and we are all very attentive to see how Netflix may change part of the market. In fact, it's like when pay TV came up 20 years ago. So, and at the moment, for us, we cooperate with them. Of course, as pay TV channels as well, they have a need of local programming in the German market because they don't have German programs. So that's the one thing. On the other hand, of course, we have to see where we have to start to protect our rights and to protect the programs that we have on our channel. I think for factual, at the moment, Netflix is not a big competition because they are more concentrating on series and fiction. But of course, that will change because in a certain way there is a lag. You know, like the Curiosity stream in the US, they will certainly ProSieben started a documentary VOD service. So, you know, the market will change, and we have to see what does it mean for us, what does it mean in terms of holdbacks, what does it mean especially for our catch-up service, and for the productions that we get involved in.
I think in some ways I really welcome Netflix moving into non-fiction because it says that, you know, there's an audience out there, that people are returning to non-fiction in a big way. It's commercial, and yes, it is more competition, but it's more money going into the genre that we all care about and love. So overall, I think it's a great thing.
Absolutely, I totally agree. Yeah.
Totally agree with you both, because it's not an issue now on Netflix. Maybe it will be in factual in the next 5 years, but for now it brings people who are used to screen series and dramas. They have like making of murder, and so they learn to screen factual. So then once they finish screening factual on Netflix, they can go on AMC Découverte. You know, so that's for the moment a good thing for us.
And having more factual program makers, I just think competition is a great thing. Hopefully it raises the bar for everybody, and the content we get will be better overall.
Well, I think you'll agree with me that the 4 panelists here and their channels have raised the bar for everybody in what you do. And that's why we'd like to take a moment to recognize the contributions that they have made to the factual television genre and to television in general. And we would like to present them with some awards. This one on now? Yes. Okay. So these are the World Screen Factual Trendsetter Awards that we present in partnership with MIPDoc. So if you would each please come up. Let's see, Kristina? Can you, let's save our applause. David? Corentin?